Hi everyone, Quiveen here from the comfort of my kitchen. In today's video, we are going to be taking a look at the planet Saturn. Here it is, just a little after sunset. Well, we're here at about 11 o'clock early in September. It comes up earlier than that, so we can see it here at just about 9 o'clock on the 14th of September. We're going all the way forward to the 22nd of September. This is roughly when Saturn will be at its opposition. Saturn comes to opposition every year. Every year, Saturn will come to opposition because opposition is just when Saturn is on the opposite side of the Earth to the Sun. We can see there it's illuminated 100% and its distance from the Earth is 8.5 AU. We went through this when we looked at the opposition previously, and we can see that Saturn's around its closest for a few days there. I think this is just about the lowest, yeah. 0.576 there on the millions of kilometers. So this is Saturn pretty much at its highest at our local midnight. So we're here at about 1:30, so summertime midnight for us here in Ireland, and we can see Saturn. If we take a closer look, it's going to be at its brightest and at its closest to us. We can see several of its moons, and there we go. Saturn was missing there for a second. Here's Saturn with its rings just barely visible, practically edge on to us, and there is Titan visible out to the side. So Saturn looks great at around these dates. We can see Titan being pretty visible there for all of them. If we come back here to the 20th, Titan should pass in front of Saturn. It does, and much better than the transit of Titan that we saw on the 4th. This is even more distinctly a transit. Titan is definitely in front of Saturn, and it looks like we can just about catch this here in Ireland if you're willing to go out at about 6:30 in the morning, just before Saturn goes down. But this is another aspect of opposition. Because it is at opposition, it's with us all night long, from sunset to sunrise. But in order to be visible that entire time, Saturn needs to be just rising as the sun sets, and as we can see here, just setting as the sun rises. This transit would therefore be a little bit better visible from somewhere else on Earth. So let's get rid of the atmosphere and the ground so that we can follow this transit a little bit longer, and we can see Titan there just really passing in front of Saturn. It absolutely is. So much so that we can see the shadow of Titan hitting Saturn behind it. So that's what that darker shape is there next to Titan. That is Titan's shadow. So this will look a little bit better from a little bit further west. If you're a little bit further west than Ireland, you will get to see the transit of Titan going in front of Saturn. This is a rare thing, as I mentioned in a previous video, because of the tilt of Saturn, because of the angle at which we see it. We do normally see moons like Titan a little above or a little below Saturn, rather than seeing them directly in front. That's Saturn's opposition this year, coming up very soon, just at the end of the month, coming up here around the 20th. So we can see here, yeah, as we've moved through time, these numbers have changed a little bit as well. So we can see them changing over the course of a few days. The 21st, really. This is the morning. We're just after crossing into the morning of the 21st. So the 21st, the 20th, around those dates for this year. If we move through time, we'll see that over the course of a year, Saturn's position doesn't change. Oh, shooting star, always nice to see. It's interesting that shooting stars pop up in the videos where I'm not looking for them, and in videos where I want to see shooting stars, we don't get to see them at all. So we can see here that this is Saturn's opposition this year. Last year, we can see that Saturn isn't directly above the south, and that it's gotten significantly further away. Oh, so we're going to have to change the dates. There we go. We're going to have to change the dates to get Saturn back to opposition, because Saturn is after moving a little bit, and we can see there coming back. There's Saturn reaching its opposition, and it is closer to us. Oh, no, it's further from us. So yeah, it is a little bit further from us when it reaches its opposition, or when it reached its opposition last year. Saturn was a little bit further from us than it is this year at opposition. So we can see here, it's there at magnitude 0.57. Let's come back to 2025, and we'll fix the date again, just to make sure that we're seeing it at opposition. We'll come back up to the 21st there, and we're seeing it at 0.58. So it's a little bit closer and a little bit brighter. That's to be expected. The orbit of the Earth is an ellipse. Because of our elliptical orbit, there are going to be years where we are further from the sun and closer to Saturn when it's at opposition, and vice versa. There are going to be years when we are closer to the sun and further from Saturn. Saturn's orbit is also slightly elliptical, so that will also play into how close it is to us and how bright we see it. So coming back here to opposition in 2024, we see we have to go a few days back. Saturn has, since 2024, moved a little bit around the sun. So as we go back in time, we're going to have to go back in our dates to get Saturn a little bit closer to the same location in the sky. So we can see that there. If we go back another year, the same thing will happen. Saturn's not quite at south at the same date, so we have to come back a few days. We can see there the moon really interfering with Saturn's opposition, and we can see there 100% illuminated. We'll see if it is at its closest to us. Pretty much around here, which is a little further away again. So we can see that we're lining up with Saturn at different points of its orbit. We're seeing it fainter here again. If we keep going through years, it will keep changing. So we'll make a big jump. We'll go all the way back to 2010. Back in 2010, Saturn's opposition would have been at a much different time of the year. So let's see where Saturn is, way under the horizon. We're going to have to come back day by day through the year until we get Saturn up to the south. We're still in summertime. Oh, we're not anymore. We're back to UTC +0. So we're back into winter time, back in the year 2010. And we can see Saturn there coming up to opposition. It's at 100% illuminated. We'll take a look at the distances and just see when those numbers are at their smallest. Yeah, it looks like around there. So here, Saturn is again at opposition. It's a different distance from us again. It's a different level of brightness. Brighter than 2023, fainter than 2025. But that is Saturn at opposition again, in a completely different time of the year. If we take a closer look, it's really Saturn's rings that I'm interested in seeing here, indeed. So we can see the rings there are visible at a different tilt. We're seeing the rings at a different angle than what we were seeing them as for this year. Now, hopefully, if we move through time, I'll be able to stay locked on Saturn. There we go. So we've moved forward a year to 2011. We can see Saturn's at a very different tilt again in 2012, 2014. But we can also see that we're after moving away from opposition. So here we would be in 2011. Well, we'll say 2010. Yeah, 2010. Saturn's shadow is not visible because the shadow is directly behind it, because it is at opposition. As we move through the year, we can see Saturn, or through the years, we can see Saturn getting further from opposition. We can see a lot of Saturn's shadow there in 2016, and we can see the rings really, really well at an incredibly nice tilt. And there's the tilt changing again. You might have also seen there the distance changing. There we go, 2025. This was earlier in the year in 2025 when the rings were incredibly thin, practically invisible. So we can see that there. I accidentally jumped forward a decade. This is the view we have waiting for us in 2035, but of course that'll take a while. We'll keep going year by year. We can see the tilt there changing and us getting a better view of the rings as we come back into the 2030s. And of course, moving further and further from opposition at the same date. Now, this wasn't opposition. This wasn't opposition this year, because of course opposition this year was will be in the 20th of September, but we can see the rings there are very, very shallow. There we go. So we're going to move day by day and hopefully, there we go, stay focused on Saturn. As we come forward through the year, we can see the tilt changing and the rings becoming more visible again. But the degree of wobble and how much we see the rings doesn't just depend on Saturn. We can also see the illumination percentage should start going up as well as we come closer and closer to opposition, just barely ticking over there. And we can see the distance numbers there dropping lower and lower as we come back to opposition. We're nearly there. Yeah, back at the start of September, and here we are back to opposition this year. So, well, a little bit off due to all of the changes of time and stuff. But that is Saturn at opposition for this year, at opposition for some previous years, just to give you an idea of how much it changes. Our view of Saturn changes drastically. How bright it is, how close it is to us. It doesn't just change over the course of the year, but when Saturn reaches opposition, That will change. The date of Saturn's opposition will change over the course of the years, but how it looks at opposition, whatever the opposition is, even if you go and look at Saturn at opposition every single year, the date you're looking at it will change, and how you see Saturn will change, how much you see the rings, how much you see the moons. And of course, we have that transit of Titan coming up on the 20th. So let's zoom in here and finish with that, because we will just about get to see it, as I said, as we saw a little earlier in the video, about 6:30 in the morning. So we'll try not to go too fast so it doesn't dive under the horizon before we get a chance to see Titan's shadow passing onto Saturn. And this is moving forward a little bit faster than real time. And there we go, just as the sun is rising. So a little tricky for us to see here in Ireland, a little bit easier from other places. I hope that you get to see Saturn at opposition this year and in future years. I really hope you get to see it in the 2030s when its ring is going to look so much nicer at opposition. We can all look forward to that. If you enjoyed this video, please do like it. If you enjoy this kind of content, then you can subscribe to this YouTube channel. And if you'd like to read some of this information, you can head to my website, queebeanscontent.ie. Thank you very much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you back here next time.